Hi everyone, Tony here. I'm working on this dining room table for my wife, and I'm working with walnut, and I'm getting some wood ready for some butterfly inlays, and then some other wood. This wood right here is going to be for to hold the legs to the table. And as I was milling the boards, some of these boards that I just bought, I thought, you know what, let's do a quick video on what it takes to make this board, this rough board that you're going to buy at, say, Woodcraft or somewhere, into this board, which is co-planar, which means it's every angle on this is 90 degrees, and it's smooth and ready to be sanded and finished or jointed to another board. I just thought I'd kind of take you through some quick steps. So the first thing we're going to look at here is the grain of the wood. Now, this piece of wood is a really nice looking piece of walnut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some chalk and I'm going to start kind of just chalking out where this grain is and what it's doing. And the reason we're going to do that is because it's going to make a difference when we start milling this wood. If you're doing some research on woodworking, you'll hear the term tear out, chip out, whatever. And what that means is that as the blade of whatever tool you're using is going over this, you've got the grain going into the blade, and so the blade's tearing up that grain, and you're going to have these tear outs. So if you just take a piece of chalk and just start kind of marking where this grain is, where it's going, you can start to see where you might want to mill this piece of wood, right? So there's one thing. The other thing is, let me turn this over and just kind of do a little on the back side. This is a pretty straight piece of wood. There's not a lot of like knotting in it or anything like that. It's a fairly straight piece here, so it's not going to be that hard to mill. Now the other thing that we want to consider here is it bowed? Is it warped? Is it twisted? Because that's going to determine how we're going to mill this, our initial milling on our jointer. Okay, so if we look at this board here, let's just kind of look at this board, see what we have. It looks pretty good. It's not a bad looking board. It doesn't look like it's warped too bad. I see a little bow in it going this way, right? It's kind of bowing this way. So with that being said, when we take it through our jointer, we're going to take it through the bow, the bow side here down. And that's because what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take off these ends. Now this is not by any means a square or flat surface table, but if I do this, I can also see that there's a little twist in this board, okay? Just a little bit of twist. So when we run it through our planer, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of run it through with pressure here on this corner, and then we're going to end it with some pressure, a little more pressure. I don't mean like shoving down, but a little more pressure on this corner, and that's going to start to get that twist out of this board. At the same time, because it's bowed as well, it'll start taking the ends off of the board, and as we joint it, we should come out with a flat surface on this bottom side. Okay? After that, then we're going to run it through the jointer again, only on its side. So we'll run the side through and joint one edge, the other edge, and now we'll have two edges that are 90 degrees to each other. That's our goal. Then we'll run this through the planer, which will give us our top side flat, right? And what we'll have then is we'll have three sides. We'll have the side we jointed, the edge we jointed, and the top we planed. And then after that, we run it through the table saw to get this final edge square. And when we're done with this board, that's exactly what I just did with this board. When we're done with the table saw, all four of these edges are square to each other. Okay? Okay, so we're just about ready to go. If you'll notice, I have a 6-inch jointer. This board is wider than 6 inches. So Joiner is not on, but if I put this board through here, you can see, well, I take that back. This board is not wider than 6 inches. It's right there. So that's good. We don't have to do any special work on that. So again, I'm looking at the board from this angle. I see we've got a little bow here on this bottom. It's bowed. A little twist. If we set it down here, just the simplest, barest amount of twist on this thing. So we'll just run this through the jointer. Now I have my jointer set at a little less than 1/16 of an inch, which means I'm going to have to take quite a few passes to get this thing jointed properly. I don't mind doing that, right? It's better to take more passes, taking less material off, than it is to start taking big, deep cut passes at this stuff, okay? So let's go ahead and take our pass and we'll see how this comes out. I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on it. I did at the end there. Let's see what we took off. We took a little off here on this corner, and we took a little off here on this end and kind of on that corner. So let's keep running it through. Here we go. Second pass. I'm not pushing down real hard. Watch, listen. Remember I told you we take the ends off. So now I'm taking this end. See, we've got material here. And that's what the chalk helps you with as well. It helps you see what material you've taken off. This is really nice here, but now we'll start working on the bow. This is representing that bow that's in the wood. I'm not pushing down really hard. Before, this clear spot was back here. Now it's all the way up here. You can see this clean spot is running down into here. So we're taking away that bow. Out of there. Got just a little bit left. Looking good. Got this edge nice and smooth, right? We don't need to do any more passes on this edge. It's good. I'm going to take a pause here and clean out the dust. So, we've got our side here, nice and smooth. If I look at it, no warp. Doesn't look like there's any play twist in it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this edge and joint it. So I'm going to put the smooth edge up against this fence real tightly, and I'm going to move it along the blade. Okay? So that's what we're going to do next. Here we go. Nice and smooth. Rough, rough, rough. Nice and smooth. Nice and slow. Steady pace. Just taking off a little at a time. Probably about 1 or 2 more passes. Listen to your blade. You'll hear it contacting all of the wood, and you can tell that you've pretty much done what you've needed to do. So here we are. There's that. Turn that off. Take our handy dandy square here and let's see. See how this looks. See if I can get it up here on the deal. And there you go. That's square. That's as square as you're going to get that right there. Square down the board. So now we have 2 surfaces. This surface and this surface that are square with each other. We have a flat surface here. Looking at it, we look pretty darn flat there. Let me try it on our see. There's no play at all. So we're halfway there. Now we need to take this board and we're going to bring it over to our planer. Now you can see on our planer that I've got a little piece of material here. I got this from a YouTube video, idea from a YouTube video, and what this does is this allows you to joint, the machine I was just using, a piece of board that's a little bit wider than your blade. Okay, I'll talk about that on another episode, or you can look that up. How to plane a board wider than your jointer, or how to joint a board wider than your jointer. There's a lot of videos out there. The one guy, I can't remember his name, came up with this idea. It's a fantastic idea. But I don't need this for what we're going to do now because we were able to joint that entire width of the board. So I'll take this out. I'm going to clean the sawdust out of my jointer for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, we have the planer set up. Now, let me explain why you're doing what you're doing. The jointer is the piece of equipment that's going to give you that first flat surface, right? If you don't joint that piece of wood, then when you run it through this planer, if the wood's bowed, it's going to go through bowed, and you're still going to have a bowed piece of wood. So a lot of people think that, oh, okay, then I'll turn the bowed piece of wood like this and run it through my planer, and it should be fine, right? It'll just start taking off the top of the curve. No, because you don't have a table here to do that with, and you're gonna waste a lot of material. So you run it through the joiner first, the one we just used. That's what that's designed for. Then you run the flat side down on your planer, and you will plane the top rough side. Now, remember with this piece of wood, we marked it with some chalk, and I really didn't talk to you about that when we ran it through the joiner, but the same principle applies. I can see here on this end, there's a little, that makes me a little worried about some tear out. So I think I'm going to start with this end and run it through fairly lightly. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting it through here just to make sure it's gonna just catch those blades, okay? So I just want it to catch the blades on the first pass. That should be fine. Lock this thing down. And let's give that a shot. Okay, vacuum on, cleaner on, and the circuits blow. The next thing I need to do is call an electrician and get some heavier circuits out here. So hold on 1 second. Okay, let's try this again. Vacuum, planer, I'm going to use this piece of board for some butterfly inlays, so I'm not going to worry about this end piece. Now, we should be now 90 degrees on 3 sides. So there's that side 90, and there's that side 90. I don't know if you can see it there, but it is 90 degrees. And now the last thing we need to do, and if I was just going to use this for those butterflies, as I said, I really wouldn't even need to do anything with this edge, but I wanted to show you everything. So now that we have this side, and this side in line, all we need to do now is cut this last edge with our table saw, and we'll have all 4 sides 90 degrees to each other. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, here we are at the table saw. I like to take my blade all the way down when I'm not using it, just for safety reasons. But it also helps me then bring this board over and see exactly as I run this thing down if I'm going to miss a spot. Now it looks to me like right there, that blade's going to be just shaving this, so that's my thinnest spot. I'm going to just tuck that over just a pinch. I think we're good. Now we're going to raise the blade. Good. And now we're going to run the board through. Get our vacuum set up here. Turn that on. And now we can see, let's come over here, now we can see that our board is fine. We have 4 smooth 90-degree edges with each other. There we go. And we just took that rough piece of wood and milled it into this. In, you know, if I wasn't messing with the camera, that takes probably maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And look at the grain of this wood. Look at how beautiful that grain is. Isn't that gorgeous? That is beautiful walnut. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope I didn't leave anything out. But again, I just wanted to make this really quick video on how to take a piece of board and just kind of mill it down real quickly. Thanks for watching, everyone.